NBC News Radio, I'm Brian Shook. President Trump is cheering his administration's economic performance.
We've created more than 2 million new jobs since the election. Economic growth has surged past 3%, something that wasn't supposed to happen for a long time. We're way ahead of schedule.
At an American Farm Bureau Federation convention in Nashville today, Trump said the American dream is roaring back to life. He touted the big Republican tax bill that he signed last month. Trump said companies across the U.S. have already started raising wages and handing out bonuses because of it. The women of Hollywood are fighting back against sexual harassment with the Time's Up campaign.
We've got volunteer lawyers coming forward. We have over $16 million raised at the GoFundMe page from 14,000 donors, big and small. And I really urge volunteer lawyers and people who need help to go to the National Women's Law Center website, who is our partner in this.
Tina Chen, the former chief of staff to First Lady Michelle Obama, joined forces with the Hollywood stars to establish a legal defense fund for the Anti-Harassment Initiative. Chen, who also served as the executive director of the White House Council on Women and Girls, says the funds will subsidize legal support for individuals who have experienced sexual harassment in the workplace. The Trump White House is responding to a possible 2020 challenge from Oprah Winfrey. Spokesman Hogan Gidley said the White House welcomes the challenge, whether it's Winfrey or anybody else. Speculation about Winfrey is running hot after her powerful speech about sexual abuse, racism, and press freedom at last night's Golden Globes. Stocks are closing near even on the first trading day of the week. The Dow Jones Industrial Average dropped 13 points to 25,283. The Nasdaq gained 21 points to 7157. The S&P 500 climbed 5 points to 2748. You're listening to the latest from NBC News Radio.
This is Dick from Carpet Masters. Carpet Masters has been serving the Inland Empire for over 60 years. We are locally owned and operated by the Stevens family. We not only clean carpet and furniture, we clean many loose rugs, including Oriental rugs. Oriental rugs are cleaned in our modern facility where the fringes are cleaned by hand, then hung in our modern facility to dry. We do not use steam cleaning to clean your fine furniture. Furniture is cleaned by hand using the same absorption cleaning used in the White House. Some furniture we bring into our plant to clean properly. We normally use 2 men on each cleaning job using the extraction method. There is nothing that will clean carpet better for our customers. Our job is to clean properly with quality first. Google Carpet Masters San Bernardino and give us a call, or go to carpetmasterssocal.com.
Miss your favorite show? Download the podcast at kcaaradio.com.
And now, it's For the People with Judge Herb Dodell.
Well, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and Happy New Year to all of you. Hope you all had a very festive holiday week. Now we're back to reality, right? This is reality.
Yuck.
Well, look, the news has never been more interesting.
Oh, Lord.
No, it really is. I'm fascinated by it. I sit and listen to it for hours. I even watch CNN.
Oh, my God. Do you?
I mix it up with Fox because I'm a real neutral, so I take a little from each side.
I hear you, Judge.
But there's a lot going on right now.
Yes, there is. There's tons going on right now.
So pick a subject.
Well,
this is your day.
You want to talk about Oprah Winfrey running for president? I mean,
why not?
What the hell's going on with that?
Why not?
Why not? What? Why not?
Why not run for president? She's got $1 billion. She's got a great reputation. She's got a good heart. She's got respectability. People get elected president. You'd be shocked.
Oh, yeah.
Who got elected president?
We all are shocked.
Well, the real question is, how long will the president stay the president? That's the real issue.
How long do you think he will? And let me ask you, Judge. By the way, this is Judge Herb Dodell. It's For the People. Just want to reiterate who you are.
Yeah, well,
you got to tell people who you are, Judge.
Okay, well, what we try to do here, and I was thinking about it over the weekend, to be a little bit more current affairs oriented, because a lot of issues are happening in the news that have legal ramifications, and people always want to know. People are calling me and saying, what do you think is going to happen to the president? Think they're going to throw him out? They're going to arrest him, put him in jail, whatever it is? Everybody really wants to know because you hear so many different stories.
Yeah.
And I went out and I tried to buy the book this weekend.
Oh, Fire and Fury?
I sold out.
Of course.
I couldn't even get the book. Now, there's a guy that hit it.
Yeah, he had a home run there, huh?
There's a guy that was like that. What was that? What's that newspaper? The Inquirer, you know?
Right.
People buy it.
Hey, you know.
And he's selling books. He's a hit maker now.
Yeah, it's crazy. What do you think is going to happen? Before we get into your show and your topics and stuff like that, what do you think of Trump? And I know what you think of Trump. I mean, I don't know what you think of Trump, but I think you're pretty neutral on it. But what do you think is going to happen? I've been saying on my radio show that I believe he's going to be impeached by the end of this year.
Well, there's so many different alternatives. Now, I took a look at the 25th Amendment to the Constitution just to see what the process is. You'd have to have half of the cabinet and the vice president declare under a declaration that they think he's whatever it is. And then it goes to the
cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs.
Well, then it's got to go to the Congress and whatever. So I don't think that's ever going to happen.
Well, hold on. I mean, if he's found guilty of high crimes and misdemeanors.
But that's different.
Okay, well, you're talking about the 25th Amendment where his mental stability is in question.
I don't think anything's going to happen with that.
I don't either.
Personally.
I don't either.
Because you can't get a consensus of enough people who are in a position to make a difference to do anything.
Right.
And who's going to complain? Because the minute you complain, you're out of work.
Right.
You know, so that's not going to happen anywhere. The only real question is whether or not they can ever prove enough collusion or conspiracy or whatever it is they're trying to prove and seek an impeachment. But that requires control of the House of Representatives because that's where the impeachment starts.
Okay.
It doesn't start in the Senate. It starts in the House of Representatives. And whoever's in power has the ability to issue articles of impeachment. And then the Senate has a trial. And again, you have to clear the Senate and get basically a conviction for that to happen. I don't think that's going to happen, at least not for a while. Much will depend, in my opinion. I'm really a neutral. I'm more of a moderate than anything else.
Well, me too, but
I don't have any particular grudges or opinions. But the fact of the matter is, it's an interesting time in history.
Yes, it is. It's crazy. Tell us what high crimes and misdemeanors exactly. I mean, some people, we don't really know. I mean, it sounds like high crimes and misdemeanors, but it's not really, it's not even being convicted of a crime, I don't think, correct?
No, high crimes probably is the equivalent of a felony. Misdemeanors are misdemeanors.
Right. But you can be accused and still be impeached without being being arrested, I guess.
Well, you don't get arrested. This is more of a proceeding to make a political change.
Okay.
Although it is possible, and I'm not going to get into all the details of that because it gets really complicated, as to whether or not you could actually seek criminal prosecution for a sitting president. Probably not.
Okay.
But possibly yes. Depends on what comes out. And they're going to keep on digging, and they're going to keep on digging until they hit gold or something there. But, you know,
it's a never-ending hole.
Well, it distracts everybody from what's really needed to be done. That's the big problem.
Which is what, Judge?
Well, we need legislation to address a lot of serious issues for a lot of serious people, and that's not going to be paid attention to because everybody's so busy buying the book and making comments and throwing rocks, and it's the person in power du jour. You know, somebody's in power one day, and next day is go get a job.
Yeah, it's so crazy. I mean, first Steve Bannon is like his right-hand guy and all that. Now it's like Steve Bannon's like arch enemy number one. I mean, it just never ends.
No, he's the left-hand guy now.
He's the left-hand guy.
But, you know, I find it very interesting. I truly do.
Yeah,
I studied political science in college, and this is a classic. I mean, it is. But the government works. You know, we have 3 branches, and it's supposed to function independently, and so far it really has. So we have the best system in the world.
I agree with that, but it's crazy times, like you said. This is times like no other.
Nutsville. It is lunatic village. I mean, today it's one thing, tomorrow it's another. Remarkable, but entertaining.
Yes.
It's serious.
But hold on, has the presidency become entertaining now, or is it's not even functioning like a legal institution or a political institution? It's functioning like an entertainment type thing now.
Well,
it seems like it.
Just my opinion is, if you look at the economic part of it, nobody's saying word one about the fact that there's been a positive change in the economy. Mnuchin, who's the Secretary of the Treasury, is probably doing a pretty good job. Nobody says anything about him. Nobody talks about him. He's out there doing his gig, whatever that is. So
I agree.
It's been an interesting time.
It's weird, man. Yeah, any other president with the economy going the way it's going would have been be applauded and revered, and this guy is being.
Well, a part of that is self-induced.
Yeah, of course.
I mean, if you know, it inspires people to become confrontive, because that's what it is.
Yes,
it's really confrontive.
But he does it on Twitter, man. He won't. Would he just stop tweeting? Let me ask you: does it bother you that he tweets so much that President of the United States, the highest office in our country, this guy's like on a Twitter rant every day? Does it bother you?
Doesn't bother me, but it's a way of his communication.
Oh.
He feels this is the way to talk to the people who are going to listen to him.
All right.
And he's certainly getting attention.
Yes.
I mean, the little Rocket Man pays attention to him. And Sloppy Steve pays attention to him. You know, all these guys.
Lion Ted and Little Marco, and Crooked Hillary.
He knows how to get attention.
He knows how to phrase people.
No, he knows how to get attention. He's a true showman. By the way, that's a great movie. Just to digress for a minute. The Greatest Showman, the story of P.T. Barnum, great movie. I recommend it.
Okay, I saw All the Money in the World over the weekend. It was okay. It was okay too. So I'll have to see The Greatest Showman.
Oh, it was great. It was really very entertaining. I walked out. I didn't have any expectations, which is what usually happens in life.
Right.
When you haven't got expectations, things that happen are beyond your expectations, so they're great.
Cool.
You get a real good sense of, wow, that was interesting.
I want to go see it. I like P.T. Barnum, right? That's what it's about, right?
Yeah, it is. He was an interesting guy.
Yeah,
according to the story.
Right.
He probably was an interesting guy in real life too.
I'm sure.
But what's really interesting now is all of this litigation and all of this hoopla about sexual harassment in the workplace, otherwhere. Who's involved? Every day there's a new guy.
Yeah.
Who's got accused of one thing or another.
I don't even want to talk to any women anymore. I'm afraid. I tell you, it's scary out there. But
well,
what?
We'll talk about that right after the break.
Absolutely. This is For the People with Judge Herb Dodell. If you want to ask him a question, email him at askthejudge@gmail.com.
I think it's Ask Judge Herb.
Ask Judge Herb. Did I screw it up?
Yes, you did.
I'm sorry.
@gmail.com.
See, I shouldn't be talking. You should be doing your own show, not me. All right.
I couldn't do it without you, Gary.
All right. We'll be back after this.
10:50 a.m. KCAA.
Herb Dodell is a lawyer and a judge for the people. Having served as a Superior Court judge, presiding over more than 9,000 cases, he has witnessed firsthand how complicated and corrupt the legal system can be. His goal is to show how things really work in the legal system so that people can navigate the legal system in the best way for them. Many people often feel marginalized by the legal system and are uninformed about how to proceed when unfortunate circumstances arise in their life. Judge Herb will pull back the curtain, lift the veil, so people can truly understand their rights, have access to top legal personnel that they can trust, and have knowledge about how things work so they can make better choices. Judge Herb isn't just knowledgeable. His integrity and spiritual values are truly what make him different. He cares about democratizing access and information for all and desires to turn on the light so the people, you, can benefit. For more information, email the judge at askjudgeherb@gmail.com. That's askjudgeherb@gmail.com.
Okay, welcome back. We were just talking during the break about opinions. Everybody's got an opinion, right?
Well, you know what they're like, right?
Yeah.
Everybody's got one.
Yeah. Well, we write them, actually. We write opinions.
You write opinions.
Yeah, we do.
As a judge.
Yes, at the end of the day, I've written a lot of opinions. In fact, you get to really analyze them when somebody appeals.
Yeah, I bet.
But I've been very fortunate. As far as I know, I have not been reversed on appeal.
Really?
As far as I know.
Wow.
When I read the opinions from the appellate court, because they copy you in, just so you know, because you're on the original papers, because you made the original decision. And so far, it's been pretty good. I even had the Garver case.
Oh, the Garver case?
Yeah, he spells his name a little different than yours.
I didn't know you were doing the people's court stuff.
But the case was the city of Los Angeles versus Garber.
Oh, Garber.
Garber would it be?
Oh, okay. Everybody screws my name up like that anyway, so go ahead.
Well, that was a restraining order case that Garber took it up on appeal.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he did. I gave a restraining order to the city. And
for what? Hold on, for the city for doing what?
Garber gave him a hard time.
Garber was a pain in the.
He gave him a hard time. He gave him a hard. He was suing him, and he was doing all kinds of stuff, and he started to threaten the city attorney.
Wow.
The guy was getting real nervous because he was very erratic and overly emotional. They had to move him out of the court one time. The bailiffs had to come and take him out of the building, and
wow,
he was really a bit of a loon.
Yeah. Maybe we're related. I don't know.
It's the other half.
It's the other half.
But the bottom line was that they came in. I tried the case, actually, and I found that there was a reasonably credible threat against this city attorney, this guy who was there, and he took it up on appeal, and the Court of Appeals affirmed the decision.
I mean, that's pretty heavy. You know what I mean? That's really heavy to have a restraining order issued like that against a city attorney. I mean,
No, he wasn't the city attorney.
I'm saying the dude. No, I mean the guy Garber was the one who got the.
He was threatening the.
He was threatening. That's what I'm saying. That's pretty heavy stuff to do.
Yeah. Well, you know, when I was a DA, way back, it was fairly common for people to threaten us.
Really?
Sure.
Oh, I don't know.
You know, you were holding the keys to the jail, you know, and you were not their friend for sure. And I remember some guy turning around and walking out, sticking his finger, you know, in my face and making some serious threats.
Did that freak you out?
It did, actually. That time it did. I went back and I talked to the supervisor. I said, he says, "Oh, it happens all the time." I said, "You know, really?" He says, "Yeah, they always yell and scream at you, but don't pay attention to it." And I suppose it probably still goes on because you can see how emotional. You know, a criminal court is a very emotional place.
Oh yeah, it is.
And it's different because people dress different, people talk different. You know, you're sitting there and they bring in a guy in with chains and an orange jumpsuit, not somebody that you want to hang out with.
No.
So you sit on the side a little bit. You let them do their thing. And I told you the case about the Van Nuys rapist, that he came in shackled for the preliminary hearing, and he would shake those chains every time something got him. He would shake those chains, and I was sitting next to him saying to myself, "Oh my God, you know, what am I doing here?" You know, and he would shake those chains.
Wow! Every time something upset him, he would shake them. Huh? Yeah. Wow. And you're his defender, right?
I was, but he wasn't threatening me. He would whisper in my ear. I told you the story, I think.
No, I know. But I mean, you know, people probably don't know it. That's what I'm saying.
Well, he would say if a woman would testify, all the women testified in that case.
How many women did he rape, by the way?
22, I think.
22.
I think it was something like that. And they paraded them all in. One of them was the wife of a famous football player. I don't remember who it was. But I remember, and he raped her on Mulholland. Because I kind of remember she was driving down Mulholland Highway or Mulholland Drive. And when she was testifying, the DA was asking her questions. He leaned over to me and he would say things like, "Oh, she loved it."
Oh, God.
And all that, and I would cringe, you know, which is kind of like what's going on now with all of these allegations, and I'm using that word advisedly, about everybody supposedly with these sexual molestations, or just he groped me or he said something to me.
Get naked in front of her.
It's becoming a very hot topic. And I think ultimately it will have an adverse effect on the people who are being accused.
Why do you say that? I mean, do you think that? Let me ask you something. Do you think there's just going to be a different system going on now? Do you think it's going to change laws or anything like that?
It won't change any laws. You're faced with the equivalent of a First Amendment argument. I was only saying or doing or whatever, and how far does it go before it crosses the line?
The reason I ask this is because when O.J. Simpson got acquitted, okay, domestic violence completely changed in the courtroom and in the law. I mean, from what I understand, a lot of people were scared because O.J. got freed and he domestically abused Nicole. It completely changed how cops thought about domestic violence. I know a couple of my friends had to deal with this with arguments that they had with their girlfriends or wives. And the cops wouldn't even, if the woman accused them, even though they didn't see any physical harm or anything, if the woman accused that person, my friend, of committing, hitting her or slapping her or grabbing her, they took him right in jail. I mean, they just said, hey, and it's like, hey, I didn't do anything. She's lying. And he's like, I can't do nothing about it. This is the way it is.
That's probably true.
Yeah, it's completely changed things.
Well, I don't know.
That's why I'm asking. Like, if you get, the reason I'm saying is this, because, I'm a single guy still, you know what I mean? And I was wondering if I talk to a woman and make an advance at her or whatever like that, I mean, can she turn around and go to the cops and say, hey, he sexually abused me. He said this. He put his hand on my lap or whatever. I mean, am I going to get arrested for this?
No, there's a difference between There's a difference between saying something.
But how if I put my hand on her lap or on her shoulder or something like that?
Well, technically, that's a battery.
Is it a battery? Okay,
yeah.
That's what I'm asking. Okay, so you cannot do that.
Probably not.
Okay, that's what I'm asking. Okay.
But what's going to happen is it's going to be a proliferation of all these lawsuits, and most of these victims are going to lose.
Why do you say that?
Because unless there's corroborative, that's the legal word that we use, corroborative evidence to support the allegations, they don't make the burden of proof. In a civil case, it's only by a preponderance of the evidence, more likely than not. A criminal case is beyond a reasonable doubt to a moral certainty. But the reality is many of these cases are going to be he said, she said.
Right.
And without any corroborative evidence, most of it will be, but I told my cousin Mary and I did this or I did that. Most of them, and there's probably justification for it, but most of them did not make a police report.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask you.
That's a serious issue.
No, what should a woman do? Let's say she feels like she was sexually assaulted. Okay. First thing she should do is go and make a police report, file a police report.
Right. Unless, look, if it's a rape, it's a different story.
Oh yeah, we're not talking about rape. We're talking about what these like the Harvey Weinsteins and the Kevin Spaceys of the world are doing.
Well, Harvey Weinstein will probably assert that most of it was all consensual, and if they're over the age of consent, and they go along with it, there's no crime. In fact, there's not even a civil violation because it's consensual. If you took that away, everything would be a crime. And so the chances are of getting any real relief, and I would suspect with a lot of these cases, they're long ago. 15 years ago, 10 years ago, statutes already run. So there's not going to be much that they could do in the way of getting any kind of judicial relief. What they're doing is they're killing these people in the press. These guys are all resigned. I just, on the way over here today, some Republican, either a governor or a state legislature or Speaker of the House, whatever it is, he resigned today too.
Wow. Because
these allegations are being made. And they're being made on a regular basis. I mean, it all started, I suppose, with Cosby.
Well, I mean,
big difference, of course, Cosby, because that one, number one, he admitted it.
Right.
I would never let a client of mine admit anything like that.
I roofied her. I gave her Quaaludes, man. What an idiot.
The movie Dumb and Dumber?
Yeah.
He qualified.
Right, exactly.
Because the reality is, why would you ever make an admission? Because I was also thinking today, Trump is supposedly going to testify. Or is going to, testify.
Yeah, Mueller's
going to testify.
Yeah.
I would never let a client of mine testify like that, because if he doesn't tell the truth, Forget about all the other things. They don't matter anymore.
Right.
Lying to the FBI
Perjury.
or lying, well, yeah.
Right.
Well, it's a separate crime, lying to the FBI.
Oh, is it?
It's not called perjury. It's called basically lying to the FBI.
Okay.
And so they'll set him up because he has a proclivity of stretching the alternate facts.
No, he doesn't.
Every now and again. But the point is, it's exposure. The risk is not doing it is a political risk. Well, why won't he testify? Look, he hasn't produced his tax returns. You may never see those tax returns. He's taken the flack.
Yeah.
They made a judgment call that they'd rather take the flack than have to deal with explaining things that they don't want to explain.
Exactly.
I don't know what's in there, and I have no clue. And I don't have any opinions about what he does or he doesn't do or who he is. That's not my role in life. But he's certainly getting set up. I think it's a question of time before they get him doing something.
Yeah, I do too. That's why I said I believe by the end of this year, I believe he will be impeached or he will resign because he's going to be impeached. I really do believe that. I think they're going to get him. I mean, he can't keep his mouth shut the way he should. He should just, like you said.
That's his style.
I know. I understand that, but listen, that's going to get him burned. I mean, you would tell him as his attorney, you tell him, do not testify, do not go before the special prosecutor. Correct?
But the problem with that is, by saying you're not going to do it, it infers that you're hiding something.
I know.
And that inference can sometimes be worse than what you're going to say. There's going to be a lawyer there. They're not going to let him answer certain questions. They probably will keep it behind closed doors.
Right.
They probably are not going to have it on
CNN.
On CNN, or
Bummer.
more likely there than Fox.
Right. Fox won't run that.
They will not.
Of course not.
Or they'll have that guy from Pennsylvania, the former senator from Pennsylvania, Santorum. They'll be there commenting.
Oh yeah, Rick Santorum.
But that's the way politics works. Look, this guy that wrote the book, Wolf, he's a rich man today.
Oh, yeah.
He said whatever he wanted to say. He had wrong people, wrong places. Doesn't matter.
Yeah, he seems a little cheesy, too. But, the thing is, Steve Bannon didn't take any of these things back. I mean, he said they were mischaracterized, but he didn't rescind the comments.
But he's apologizing.
Well, of course, because he knows he completely screwed his relationship and friendship up with Trump.
Well, it might also affect his ability to be a player in any future elections.
I agree, probably.
So it'd be diminished in reputation and everything that goes along with it. So that may be one of the reasons. But we'll get into that.
Okay, cool. For the People with Judge Herb Dodell. We'll be back right after this.
NBC Talk Radio, 1050 AM, KCAA.
In his book, From the Trench to the Bench, Judge Herb Dodell demystifies the legal system, including both civil and criminal, the lawyers, the judges, and the process. As a judge, former deputy district attorney, and criminal defense attorney, he knows the legal system. He has the inside information that you need to pick a lawyer, and he's here to give it to you. No matter what you're facing that makes you think you may need a lawyer, Judge Herb will shed valuable light on your situation and reveal your best options and many secrets of how the judicial system actually works. To find out more about how the legal system really works, you can get your copy of Judge Herb Dodell's eye-opening book, From the Trench to the Bench, at Amazon.com.
Okay, welcome back. This is For the People. I'm Judge Herb Dodell. And if you're interested, and you should be because it's going to be interesting, the book is called From the Trench to the Bench, available on Amazon.com.
Yes.
It includes much of what we talk about. And one of the things that we were talking about a couple of weeks ago is that some people are listening to the show for the first time. What are we intending to do with it? The purpose is to help you, the public, that's why it's called For the People, to understand the legal system, how it really works from the inside, from all the years that I was an active trial lawyer.
I mean, you've been in the business, I would call it, because it is a business.
It's absolutely a business.
How long you been being a judge and attorney and district attorney? I mean, you've done so many things.
Well, I was also in showbiz, for a while. I didn't do any dancing and singing because I have no talent. But I was licensed in 1964, actually, as a lawyer in New York.
I was 2 years old. Sorry, Judge.
I said something to somebody the other day. I was ordering a bagel and lox, and she said, "Oh, I wasn't even born then."
Don't you hate that?
I said, "Well,
I even get that nowadays. It sucks.
Well, somebody said to me, they gave me a senior discount. I said, "I'm not a senior." She said, "Really?" I said, "No, I'm not a senior. I'm thinking like you're thinking." And my wife always tells me, she says, "If you think young and happy, you'll be young and happy."
Amen. She's
her
right.
mother's 90 and her aunt is 93.
Wow.
And my great-grandmother lived to 106.
That's awesome.
I didn't know her.
Yeah.
But that's,
She's right. Your wife is absolutely right. You think young, you stay young. That's how I feel, too.
You can't think of yourself as old. If you think of yourself as old, you're old.
You're old. You're done. You're done.
That's why I could never retire.
That's a good thing.
No, I was never interested in retiring. Even though I was on vacation last week and it was lovely.
You went to Cabo.
I did.
My favorite place in the world.
I loved it.
Is that the first time you've been?
No.
Oh, okay.
But we never left the resort that we were in, and it was great.
Yeah, it's beautiful out there.
Weather was great. Talked to my son who lives in New York. It was 5 degrees below zero.
Ouch.
And here we are laying on the beach.
I love Cabo. I know. It's beautiful.
But let's get into more positive things.
Yes.
And I want to give some practical guidelines to people because that's one of the things that we're supposed to be doing here.
Give us some wisdom, Judge.
Well, people always ask me about mediation and arbitration. Is there a difference? Well, there's an enormous difference. A mediation is where there is a person, usually, well, not always, a retired judge, and they serve as a neutral in between parties in their positions. And you can tell you're in mediation because they're nice to everybody. They don't want to piss anybody off.
Right, right.
And so they talk nice to everybody. And certain arbitration mediations are handled where the mediator separates the parties in two separate rooms. I took a class and got certified as a mediator at Pepperdine. I went to the intensive mediation class because they were talking about assigning me as a settlement judge. And so they wanted me to be trained, because mediators are trained. And most of the time, they're lawyers. And so they try to tell you how bad your case is and why you should settle. Then they go down the hall to the other guy, other gal, or other group. They tell you how bad their case is, and they try to encourage you to settle with that one.
Okay.
And so I thought, well, today maybe I would give you a couple of techniques, just in case you're in a litigation. If anybody out there is in a litigation, the primary reason for settling is it eliminates uncertainty.
Right.
There have been cases that I tried as a trial lawyer that I said, great case, one of the best I ever saw, and lost. And there were cases that I said, I don't want to do this, and won. Some of them with great runaway verdicts.
That's a crapshoot when you go into court.
It is a major crapshoot. And there's a recent case that came down in the Arizona Supreme Court that has really changed a lot of things, at least in Arizona. And my sense of it is, and that's why I'm going to tell what's going on.
Yeah.
My sense of it is that it's going to become the trend.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, what is it? What's
Here
going
it
on?
is.
Tell us.
Here it is. There's a procedure in California and in most states. In Arizona, it was called Rule 68, where if you're a defendant, for example, and you offer to settle with the plaintiff, you do it in a form. There's a document that you file with the other side, and they have 30 days to answer it, 10 days before trial, to either accept or just reject the offer or do nothing, which is a rejection. And let's say you offered as a defendant to pay the plaintiff $100,000. Plaintiff said, no, I want more. I want $500,000. I'm not taking 100, it's too cheap, whatever it is. ignoring the realities that you could win or lose. So they don't take it. Go to trial. They get $95,000. They didn't beat the offer.
Right.
Well, the Arizona Supreme Court has now ruled that by not taking the offer and not beating it, you are no longer the prevailing party in the outcome of the lawsuit. You're the prevailing party up until the time of the offer, but after that, it switches. So it means that under certain circumstances, as it existed in that case, under certain circumstances, the party that won and got $95,000 becomes liable for the attorney's fees of the other side.
Oh, my God.
It could be greater than the amount that you won.
Wow.
And so it is high risk not to pay real careful attention. So as a litigator, for the plaintiff, it's the same thing.
Yeah.
You send an offer, you say, I'm willing to take $50,000. I'm willing to take $50,000. The defendant says, I'll give you 10. I'm not going to give you 50. I'm not going to do it.
Right.
They pass, right?
Yeah.
California, like all states in the union, I think even Louisiana, which had for a long period of time a different set of laws than all the other states. Did you know that?
No, I didn't know that. Louisiana?
Louisiana
Really?
operates on what's called the civil law.
Okay.
And it's French law.
There you go.
Believe it or not.
I believe you.
Although I did talk to somebody from Louisiana last week on the beach, and he says they've changed that.
Okay.
Be consistent, right? So you offer to take 50, and they won't give you the 50, and you hit it.
You hit the 50,000.
You hit more than 50.
55.
50,001 cents.
Okay.
As long as you beat the number.
Right.
Okay. So you beat the number, and now, under certain circumstances, you may be able to get attorney's fees. We operate in this country on what's called the American rule. We're in America, right? So we follow the American rule.
Supposedly.
American rule is everybody pays their own attorney's fees.
Right.
Unless there's a statutory provision to the contrary. And there is such a thing in insurance cases. In other words, if you sue an insurance company because they didn't pay you or they acted in what we call bad faith,
right,
then you can recover all of your attorney's fees.
Yeah, I've heard of that one.
Well, that one I took to the Supreme Court. That was my case.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, Essex versus Five Star Dye House, it was called. It took me 13 years, but I got to the Supreme Court on that issue and won.
Yeah. Wow, that's you, huh?
Yeah, well, it came from nothing, which was a $12,000 case, and I was looking at the canceled check not too long ago because it's always nice to look at that thing.
Yeah.
And it got resolved ultimately over $3 million. They paid a lot of money in attorney's fees, 13 years worth of effort. So every time you put $1 in, the other side's saying it's going to cost them $2, $1 for themselves and $1 for the other guy.
Right.
So these offers, which we call 998 offers, because that's the code section of the California Code of Civil Procedure, if you pass on an offer, you're running a big risk. Because the British system is the winner gets the attorney's fees as well. Loser pays.
Damn.
So that doesn't happen in this country.
That's not. No, I mean, usually you have to pay your own
insurance cases.
Yeah, you have to usually pay your own attorney's fees, but that's amazing. That's really. Hopefully that won't be the statute. That's just for Arizona, right?
Well, at the moment.
Yeah.
But the rationale behind that ruling, from what I can glean out of it, is that they want people to settle cases.
Yeah.
And so they're saying, okay, you don't want to settle a case? Roll those dice, buddy, because you could come up with snake eyes.
Yeah.
And you may end up winning the case and costing you money at the end of the day, plus you paid your own attorney. So they're trying to encourage people to settle the cases, which they should do anyway. People should settle cases all the time.
Yeah.
The key is getting rid of your ego. The problem with people in the litigation world is that they want to prove that they're right. Proving you're right doesn't mean dick.
Right.
It really doesn't.
Yeah.
You're in it for the money.
Yeah.
Why do you want to gamble? If you could take 50%, 70%, why do you want to run the risk of getting no percent? And now under this Arizona rule, in Arizona, you are risking everything.
That's crazy.
Everything.
No, I know. It probably will be the statute. I mean, because they're going to be citing laws. I mean, they'll be citing that law all over the country, I would think, on this.
I have a feeling that's where this is going. I don't know what they're going to do in California There are other places. Usually it depends on whether or not you have a provision called a prevailing party provision in your contract. If you have that, I was just reading a contract the other day that has a prevailing party provision in it. So if you win, you don't have to worry about the British rule, the American rule. You have a contractual agreement for that.
Yeah.
But even the Arizona Supreme Court, even with an agreement, there was an agreement.
Oh, really?
Between the parties, yeah. They said, I don't want to do the graphics. I'm being recorded, but they said, to hell with you. I don't care what your agreement says. You didn't prevail.
And whatever the judge say, it goes, right?
It's discretionary.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
That's one of those things. People always say, well, do you rule for this way or that way? The answer is there's a lot of discretion. And those cases, just for the words of art, the only time you can really succeed on an appeal is if the judge acted recklessly or capriciously. It's called arbitrary and capricious, that they did it just with no reason or no basis. But that's a hard burden to overcome.
They rarely do that.
Rarely do that.
It's like, like the cops don't rat on the cops. The judges don't overthrow cases on other judges. Come on. Rarely.
No, I'm not so sure of that.
Once in a blue moon.
No, it's like what's going on in the world today. People used to go with that. You get no chance getting somebody else.
Yeah.
But now with the more open society,
think so?
I think some are more willing to do it the right way.
Okay.
I'm not so sure that's going to go there. The second methodology that I use is called high-low. That's not a crap game or anything.
It sounds like one.
Not a poker game.
Okay.
Where the plaintiff agrees that no matter what happens in a jury trial or even a judge trial, they're not going to get more than X dollars. That's it.
That's it.
No matter what they get, they can get 10 times that. This is all they're getting. In exchange for which the defendant agrees that if they win and the plaintiff would get nothing, the plaintiff gets the low number. So it's hedging your bet.
Right.
You're never going to get more than a number that you can live with, that you're happy with.
Right.
But you're never going to walk out with a zero.
Hey, I do that all the time when I'm betting and gambling.
You know what? I want to think about that.
I just did it Sunday.
No. High low. You roll those dice. There's no high low.
No.
The guy with the stick pulls in the chips, and that's the end of the story.
That's it. All right.
But when we talk about mediation, and what we were talking about, and we'll finish that up right after the break.
Okay. Cool.
NBC Talk Radio, 1050 AM, KCAA.
Did you ever meet a lawyer that was for the people? Someone who had the best interests of the people at heart? Herb Dodell has been a lawyer for more than 50 years and has been a Superior Court judge for 9 years, having presided over more than 9,000 cases. In this show, he will reveal the secrets of how things really work in the legal system, so you can maximize your position and benefit most when you're in trouble and need someone on your side to simplify the process for you. For more information, email the judge at askjudgeherb@gmail.com. That's askjudgeherb@gmail.com.
Okay, we're back talking about mediation. This is Judge Herb Dodell. The show is called For the People. The book is called From the Trench to the Bench, available on Amazon.
Amazon.com.
Yes.
Yes.
Anyway, mediation is voluntary. Although many courts, in fact, we do it here in L.A., require the parties to go to mediation. It used to be a program where you could have 3 hours for free, because mediation is expensive. I saw recently one of the mediators, a retired judge. He was a good guy. He's a good guy. very successful, nice, easy to get along with. He's getting $15,000 a day.
Wow.
So I said to this other guy, I said, there's no way anybody who's barely getting by is going to have half of $15,000 because they usually split it.
Yeah.
So somebody had to pay $7,500 for this guy to be per day.
That's crazy.
It's
that's
expensive.
Yeah. Well, you should be a mediator.
Really
you should be a mediator.
Well, I trained for it. In fact, somebody asked me if I would want to mediate a case for them recently. I said, sure, why not? He said, why don't you do this all the time? I said, I would if people would call me, but I'm not going to take out a billboard, and put it up on and say I'm a mediator available.
You're not going to go on the 10 freeway.
No, I don't like that one. The fact of the matter is, that's one of the great jobs. Being a mediator is a great job. It's very, very fulfilling.
I bet.
Because when you get the parties walking out, when they're both unhappy, you did a good job.
Okay.
That's the sign of a good result.
Right.
That's mediation. And if you settle it, great. You don't settle it, you don't settle it. On you go, and you litigate it to the rest of the day.
But if you're going to mediate it, if you're going to go that direction, you're going to have to pay somebody that kind of money to mediate it. Wouldn't you settle it? Or, I would settle it every time, I would believe.
Well, I remember years ago when I was active in a case that got reversed by the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals, was thrown out by the trial judge. The mediator was from San Diego. He was getting $1,000 an hour. And I resisted in the beginning. So that's a lot of dough, It's an 8-hour day. The guy goes to the bathroom, it costs you $46.
Probably more.
And I said, you know what? I said, go to the bathroom on your own time.
It'd be $200 possible.
Do it during lunch. And look, if you're having prostate problems, don't talk to me about it.
That's right.
So the reality is,
get a
expensive.
Cup.
Expensive.
It's expensive. $1,000 an hour.
$1,000 an hour.
Ouch.
And then you got to give him a big retainer.
Yeah.
So you give him the retainer and you don't settle it, right?
Oh.
The next thing is you get the phone calls. I work weekends. Okay, well, it's $1,000 an hour. He probably worked through the night.
Exactly.
The fact of the matter is, he was on the phone to the other guy, and he was on the phone to me, and back and forth, and it went on for a while. And we ultimately settled it for a very good amount of money. I would never have agreed to this guy if it hadn't been for the fact that there was so much at stake.
Right, so much dough.
And he had a good reputation, and he was well known for settling cases. So I said, well, okay, it makes sense.
Right.
I did it for that one. He sent me a bill afterwards for the extra hours.
Oh, for the phone calls, you mean?
The phone calls.
Oh, man.
So,
and what you had to pay him, right?
How do I answer that question?
I plead the fifth. I plead the fifth.
Diplomatically, you want to know what I did? I turned it over to the client, who walked away with a lot of money. I said, pay this guy.
There you go. That's it.
I'm not paying him anyway. I didn't sign up. I made it a rule, and I tell this to all lawyers who talk to me about it. Don't commit to paying experts out of your own pocket. The client is obligated to pay for it.
Right.
And if you don't get if the expert, doctor, lawyer, engineer, whatever it is, doesn't get paid, and they come after you, you get stuck. You may not get paid by the client, and you end up paying the person on the same time.
Do you put that in the contract that the client's going to pay for all the?
Okay, I did.
You have to, I would believe.
Well, if it isn't in the contract, it doesn't exist.
Right, and then it's
and the reality is, and this is one of the things that did not turn me on to the practice, is that many clients, not all, if the result wasn't what they were hoping to get, their own expectation,
right,
they blame you.
Well, I mean,
if you could have done better, you could have done this, you could have done that, and if there's an outstanding balance, you might as well take whistling lessons because that's what you're going to be doing.
Right.
You're going to be whistling. And if you sue them, they sue you back for malpractice.
Oh, man.
And then you got to turn it over to your insurance company.
Right.
That makes it.
Does the bar get involved in something like that? The
No.
Bar Association? No. Okay.
You only get involved if you do something dishonest,
right,
or you don't follow the rules. You don't give them the file. A lot of lawyers think, well, you know what? I didn't get paid. Screw them. I'm not giving them back their file. Well, you can't do that. You got to give them back the file.
Okay.
And there are obligations that.
Regardless if they paid you or not,
You have to give them the
file.
Right.
That's
well,
the law.
you can keep what's called work product.
Right.
your thoughts and your independent notes to yourself. If you do that, and we all do that, that you don't have to share with them. But everything else, you got to give it to them. And the bar has got a big axe. It's called disbarment.
Yes.
And you lose your ticket.
Yeah, that would suck.
I heard about a guy a couple of weeks ago that lost his ticket.
Really?
Yeah. You work your whole life, and all of a sudden one day, boom, it's gone.
Let me ask you something on that. Can you get reinstated?
Yeah.
How hard is that to be reinstated if you get disbarred?
I don't know. Thankfully, I've never been in that position.
I'm just curious if you know anybody.
I do know somebody. Somebody I studied for the bar.
Yeah.
She was disbarred. She was a nice lady. She was disbarred. And I remember reading in the Bar Journal magazine or whatever it was that she had been reinstated. Was it probably about 2-3 years later?
Yeah.
It was a minor thing. I don't know how she got disbarred to begin with, but it's like any other bureaucracy,
They're pretty hardcore.
But I do want to differentiate between mediation and arbitration before we close. Arbitration is the same as a trial, except you have either one or three arbitrators.
Okay.
The problem with arbitration is, from my perspective, I'm not a big believer in it because the arbitrators are always looking for work. And if they go through what they call a Kaiser arbitration, dealing with medical malpractice kinds of things, they have arbitration provisions in your agreement. You can't litigate against them. You can only arbitrate against them. And an arbitrator who wants to keep working, he or she can't be too generous. You find too many times for the plaintiff and you give them any money, pretty soon they don't want you anymore as an arbitrator. And the same thing goes on the other side, equally as well.
Yeah.
If you got an arbitrator who's notorious for ruling for the defense, and you're a plaintiff, you're not going to take that person.
Did the judge? Did the lawyers pick the arbitrators?
Yeah.
Or so they can pick their own arbitrators.
Generally.
Okay.
If you can't agree, which happens all the time,
Right.
then you go back to court, and the judge picks a judge where the complaint is filed, if there's a complaint filed, picks the arbitrator. The problem with that is they usually pick their buddies.
Of course.
And so, oh, Harry's available, and that's who you got.
That's my golfing partner.
Well, they're supposed to disclose that. But they don't always do that either.
Of course not.
And the big problem with arbitration, other than the fact that people have motives, is that it's very hard to appeal an arbitration award. You have to show fraud, failure to disclose.
Really?
Even there's a case, Monkarsh, that says even if they make errors of law, not reversible.
Really? Wow. That's pretty heavy.
Law or fact. Very, very difficult to overturn an arbitration award because you take it to court, you get an award. That's not the judgment.
Right.
The judgment is when you go to court and they put a rubber stamp on it. Now it becomes a judgment. They rarely in the superior court will overturn an arbitration award. There's like 3 grounds, 1, 2, and 3. One is to correct a mistake, an obvious mistake you added wrong. 1 and 2 is not 4.
Yeah, right.
Unless you're in the elevator over here.
Yeah.
And another one is the failure to disclose, and the other is fraud. But I had cases in arbitration that I couldn't believe that they let stand.
Wow.
I mean, I think I told the story about the one day I was in an arbitration, and we went out to lunch, and one of the arbitrators, the arbitrator, was having lunch with the defense lawyer.
I don't think you said that one. I don't think you told us that one.
Happened.
Wow.
Happened.
Oh, man.
So, how can you, didn't win, and took it up on appeal, affirmed.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
It's in my book. The story's in the book.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That's crazy.
That's a real, talk about crapshoots.
Yeah.
Arbitration is a big crapshoot.
Is it all judges too? Arbitrators or
generally,
judges?
Yeah,
Okay.
generally, unless you get into something like a baseball arbitration.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Some lawyers do that.
Yeah. Well, that's a strange arbitration.
Yeah.
It's a high-low.
Right.
You either get the high or you get the low.
Yeah, that's it.
And that's not a great position to be in.
Yeah. They used to do that a lot. There used to be a lot of arbitration in baseball.
Well, they call it baseball arbitration.
Yeah, baseball arbitration.
Yeah, they do it, I think, in football and all sports.
Yeah, they do it in sports. Yeah, they all do that.
But generally, the arbitrators are retired judges.
Okay.
But you do the same thing. You take notes. You make rulings, issues of law. The rulings are a little more general. The rules are not as strictly enforced as they are because it's just a judge or an arbitrator. So you take the hearsay where you normally wouldn't admit it, and you give it the weight to which you think it's entitled. And the argument always is, well, it goes to the weight.
Right.
Okay, I don't think much of it.
So you rather be in mediation than arbitration?
Mediation is not binding. In fact, you pick people that you like.
Right. That's what I'm saying. It's better for you if you're going to do one or the other.
Well, depending on who your mediator is.
Yeah.
There are some very, very good mediators.
Right.
That will settle cases. You walk out and you say, how the hell did he do that?
Well, we're paying him $1,000 an hour. That's how.
But he was a good guy.
Okay.
And he called me on the weekend.
That's right. Yeah.
I didn't know it was costing me $500 for the phone call.
And then he billed you for it.
And the organization that he worked for started to call me.
Oh, yeah.
I said, send it down to Tony. Not the guy with the crooked nose. I said, send it down to him. I'm not paying it.
Wow.
I mean, I appreciate the great result, but we signed an agreement. We bought him for a day.
Yeah.
We bought 8 hours. No, we bought 10 hours. We bought 10 hours because he has to read stuff beforehand.
Right.
And he got a check for $10,000. Five from each.
Come on.
Five from each.
Why is he being greedy? Come on.
I don't know. We'll talk about something. Pick a subject, Gary, over the weekend. Next week.
I already know what I want to talk about.
What are you going to talk about? Let's go lead it.
Legalization of marijuana. I want to talk about those laws and what's going on with that. Can we do that?
Interesting subject.
All right, let's do that next week.
Influx.
All right, cool. All right, go get Judge's book, From the Trench to the Bench, on Amazon.com. And to get a hold of Judge will answer your emails. Judge?
I will. I'll try. It's AskJudgeHerbDodell@gmail.com.
Ask Judge Herb.
Yes, that's right. Ask Judge Herb.
@gmail.com.
I got to get that right.
We'll get it
By
right.
the 10th show, we'll know.
Exactly. All right, you guys.
KCAA Loma Linda, 1050 AM, 106.5 FM, and now 102.3 FM.